Question number one. PJTV member Connor F. asks, do you believe that the recent rise in reported gun violence will give the Democrats political leverage to pass a new assault weapons ban or similar bill? If so, do you think this is coincidental or are there deeper motive behind the shootings? Two-part question. Let's take the second part first. I think that this idea of deeper motives behind the shooting is madness, frankly. It's just madness, and I think we have to be careful. I've heard a couple people say this, you know, gee, convenient timing, and look, this guy and these people are evil enough. We don't have to invent new evil for them. They're evil enough and incompetent enough and un-American enough for us to not have to cook up things about whether or not the shooting was part of some master plan to ban guns. There are so many arguments to be made here, and I don't have the time to do them all accurately, but I'll give you a couple of them in order of increasing importance. First of all, this business about focusing on the gun is madness. We had a survey come out just last week where it said the #1 country in the world in terms of happiness and sense of fulfillment and contentedness is Switzerland. Switzerland apparently requires every single family and every single household to keep a machine gun, not a semi-automatic weapon, a machine gun, as part of the defense of Switzerland. So if you've got the happiest country in the world and every single one of those households has a machine gun in it, then this whole idea about it being the prevalence of guns falls flat on its face just on the basis of that evidence and no other. We find that the areas with the most stringent gun control have the highest crime rates. The areas with the most liberal use, if you'll pardon the expression, of concealed carry permits, where pretty much everybody's packing or assumed to be packing, have the lowest crime rate. So there's the whole intellectual argument, which you can win on its face. But we'll move up a level now, why don't we? What we find about the shooter was interesting. First of all, we find out that the guy was pretty mentally disturbed. He apparently was autistic and certainly was on the spectrum. So do we lock up everybody who's got autism problems and people with behavioral problems? No. Why? I'm sorry, that would be punishing the people who didn't shoot up communities? Oh, that's an interesting argument. Well, we know that he was a member of the black trench coat crowd, you know, probably saw an awful lot of those Matrix movies where they go into the lobby and just blast the living daylights out of everything, including policemen. Maybe we should ban violent scenes in movies and just not, no? Oh, that would be punishing people who actually do watch violent movies and don't go out and shoot up things? That's an interesting argument to make, isn't it? The kid was apparently extremely distraught about his parents getting divorced. Maybe we should make divorce laws much more restrictive, like they used to be back in the 40s, make it virtually impossible for people to get divorced. Or would that be punishing people for things that they didn't do on the basis of this kid? They talk about the kid being a gun owner. He wasn't a gun owner. He murdered the gun owner. He stole the weapons from his mother. His mother had the guns legally, and the mother didn't shoot anything up. So I don't see how this is any different than him murdering any other legal gun owner who legally had the guns and who wouldn't have shot up anybody else. So all of these arguments make perfect sense. You can make them till you're blue in the face, but we need to move up another level still. And that comes to the issue of the fact that this is a constitutionally protected right. You don't have to like it. It doesn't matter. It's there. If you want to get rid of guns, you need to repeal the Second Amendment. I dare you to do it. I dare you to go out to the American people and take one of the Bill of Rights planks away. Go ahead and do it. Because if you can repeal the Second Amendment, you can repeal the First. And frankly, guys, you don't have to repeal these amendments. Barack Obama has put into place a number of executive orders that basically ban the use of habeas corpus for what they determine and they alone determine are terrorist acts. So if you don't have a Fifth Amendment anymore, and if the First Amendment protects freedom of religion and Obamacare says that Catholic churches have to provide contraceptives against their religion, you don't have a First Amendment anymore. You don't have to ban the Second Amendment. They just do what they want, these people. They do what they want. And the final argument to be made about this whole gun thing is simply this. When people say our children are not safe in schools, no, they're not. No one is safe anywhere. You have to get this infantile, childish idea out of our heads that people are safe somewhere. No one is safe anywhere, ever. You can be killed on your ride to bike. You can be killed in the park. You can be killed anywhere. You can die. It is a world where people die. Now, I know that sounds heartless and cold, but I don't mean it to be. I can't imagine what these parents are going through. I can only imagine that if you'd lost a child this way, you would make a deal with God where you would basically say, take every awful thing that ever happened to me during the course of my life and do it to me again and again and again, nonstop. Just give me my child back. I understand this. I do. But we do not live in a world where we are guaranteed safety. We're not guaranteed safety on the road. We're not guaranteed safety in the skies. No one is safe anywhere. And if we want to solve this problem, we ought to start looking at the cultural aspects that influence crazy people, really borderline people, to go out and do these kind of things. We have one of these a year, right? There are 300 million Americans. It's a failure rate of 1 in 300 million. What products fail at the rate of 1 in 300 million? None of them do. Things go wrong in this world, and we ought to start looking at the root causes of this, because that weapon didn't just leap up in the air and start killing people. Somebody picked it up, and somebody had a reason to pick it up. And as usual, as with Columbine, we find out that this guy it was like the May Day parade in terms of red flags. Nobody did anything. That exact same day of the shooting, they stopped another shooting by coincidence on the exact same day, because the guy was a nut job, and everybody knew he was a nut job. And somebody made a phone call, and they got the nut job before he shot people up. It's a complex issue, and I'm tired of this childishness.